Want to join the Sugyah Live? WhatsApp plus 19 148 936 848 or email us at info@theshmuz.com. This is your chance to truly grow and elevate your learning experience. Thanks for joining today's session. The Sugyah is available live every Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday. You will receive More Makomos and will be in direct contact with Rabbi Shafier and the Sugyah community.
He called me up. He wasn't ready. I don't know. It was much like a change term, but he was definitely ready to change around. She was out the door though. She wasn't interested. All right. Anyway. All right. Nisim Gluim. That's all I can tell you. Okay. Here, gentlemen, we're up to day 111 of the war. My numbers are off because I didn't have time to change it, but there are 10,000 Hamas fighters killed or captured. By the way, any of the numbers that you read about Nebuch, the Gazans who've killed, keep in mind 10,000 of them were Hamas terrorists. So whatever number they're saying, 21,000, 30, whatever number it is, 10,000 of them they count Hamas fighters as...
They're claiming 26,000 now.
26,000. So right away, 10,000 of them. By the way, 26,000 of which 70% are women and children, right? But we know that 10,000 of them were Hamas terrorists who are all men. I'm no mathematician, but 10 out of 26, all right, whatever. You know what I'm saying?
No, it means that every single man that was there was a Hamas terrorist.
Yeah, but even still, there can't be 70% women and children.
Some of the kids were Hamas terrorists too.
Maybe.
Yeah, some of the kids, for sure they are. They're trained they blow themselves up.
The truth, you're right, they are, but we're talking about they count, Israel now counts 10,000 Hamas terrorists that they killed, meaning adult terrorists, or, meaning actual, not kids, but so of the 26,000, so 10,000 of them were men terrorists. So, which means that Israel is doing an incredible, in urban warfare, to have just 16,000 casualties when Hamas is keeping them in the line of fire is beyond description. It's
crazy. It's absolutely crazy. The ratio is usually in urban warfare at least 3, if not 4 to 1. They're at 1.5 to 1. It's nuts. It's absolute nuts.
Yeah, it's they're doing something. And of course the World Court blames them genocide.
No, Rabbi, the World Court actually did the best job of supporting them because they didn't order them to a ceasefire.
I understand, but still, they're
so that's saying they're moida that they can defend themselves.
All right, you're right. They didn't come out utterly anti-Semitic, but they still defamed the Jewish nation.
And who says they have to do a ceasefire? The only one we have to worry about is the United States. If the United States doesn't say ceasefire, then the Israelis can continue ad oilem, because we don't really care what the UN has to say. It's only the United States. It's the only one we have to worry about.
You're right.
Rabbi, the truth is, most of them probably died from COVID anyways.
You're right. I forgot. They all had COVID. Yeah. All right. Anyway, let's go.
Most of them had what? Yeah. Had COVID?
COVID. It's a joke. Everybody dies of COVID. That's all. They're all overstate but no, now they understate them because they want to show how effective the vaccine is. So nobody dies of COVID anymore because they all got vaccines. So it's solved, All right. Okay. Achenu Kobei Yisrael and Asun B'Sara B'Shivya. Omdim Bein Bayam Bein Bayabasha Amakim Mirachem Aleim Tzem Mitzar Levacha Mefel Ora Mishiba Lagula Hashtaba Galaz Makariv and Amar Amen. Hashem should redeem us.
Amen.
Quickly. All right. We're going to go through everything quickly, and then we got tonight's work to do, the Torah and the Bach, Mitzvah Hashem. But let's just recap so we stay on the same page. So again, we have this interesting Mishnah that tells us these are the things that have no shiur to them. Peah, Bikurim, Harayin, Gemil, Fasan, Talmud Torah. And remember, the Gross says the reason why does the Torah include over here? Why does the Tan include Torah over here? What's the Gross diak, gentlemen? Why does the Tana tell us that Torah has no shiur to it on the minimum side?
Even one word is the mitzvah to say.
To teach us, right? Even one word is mitzvah say to teach us how valuable Torah is. If you have to be yotzei, one word in the morning, one word at night is yotzei, and each word of that is shakol keneged kulam to teach you. If you're learning a black Gemara, you're learning hundreds of mitzvah say, and again, generally, you have to count your riches. Okay, anyway, Karen Kamis Lolam Haba. These issues are you keep the dividends in the world to come, and the principle. I'm sorry, actually, you eat the dividends in this world and the principle for the world to come. What are those? Kibbut Avaim, Gimel Chasadim, Vaval Shalom Ben Amel Chaver. This is the promoting the 10 really dumb mistakes book or video book. The Talmud Torah Keneged Kulam, and more than any of the other mitzvahs, and Talmud Torah. Okay, so again, so we saw the Gra, and the Gra really taught us two things, right? One is he taught us this Yisod Chol Teva Teva Shalom Yibahu Mitzvah Aseh Fnei Atzma. That's why the Tana taught us a minimum amount to tell us that even one word of Torah is a separate mitzvah say, and therefore, if you realize you're learning a blad, therefore you're learning hundreds of mitzvahs by just learning a block Gemara. But this is the first part of the Gra that's going to be very important. If you have a choice of either learning or do a mitzvah that can be done idei acherim, let's say Kfuras Mace. The people to bury him, but should I join the Kfuras Mace? Or there's a chasana. There are plenty of people who say chasana college. Should I join? Should I be? Or should I learn? The rule is that you should learn. Why? Seichel obligates this. Why? Because each word of Torah is a mitzvah of itself, which is equal to anything else. So, gentlemen, if I ask you, according to the Gra, I have a mitzvah that's efshel kama idei acher and Talmud Torah. Which comes first?
Talmud Torah.
But why? This is the key. Why would the Gra say?
You get more mitzvos per capita.
Exactly. Logic dictates. If I can learn, I get hundreds of mitzvahs. If I can do this other gemilas chesed, whatever it may be, I get one mitzvah. Now, if it's ef shai decherim, if no one else will do it, I'm obligated to do it. Fine. But if there's someone else who can do it, opt for the Torah first. Why? Because it's hundreds of mitzvahs versus one. But gentlemen, let's remember this again. According to the Gra, if I have a mitzvah that's ef shai decherim and limit Torah, why is it that Torah trumps it?
Because of the number of mitzvahs you get. Exactly.
Seichel Machayev. I want you to remember that. That's later on going to be a very, very important point that we're going to see. All right, so basically here's the Talmud Torah Keneged Kulam. If he has Limud Torah on this side is Taryag Mitzvahs, Limud Torah alone equals to all of them. And therefore I have a choice between Limud Torah and Asiyas Mitzvahs. Of course, I'm going to choose Limud Torah. And the reason is because Limud Torah is hundreds of mitzvahs. And therefore, you opt for the hundreds of mitzvahs rather than the one mitzvah. All right, so that's the Gra. All right.
Wait. So it's not Taryag mitzvahs. It's only mitzvahs aseh.
No, meaning, yeah, you can't do a losa say. Meaning, if I have to steal your Gemara to learn Torah, I can't do a losa say. But the question is, if I have an opportunity to do this assay or this assay, either learn Torah or do another mitzvah assay, and Talmud Torah comes first.
Right.
But you're right. It doesn't allow me to do a los assay because I'm forbidden. And by the way, also even just an assay, if it's ef shai de'acherim, see, once I'm obligated in the assay, then it's like a los assay. Let's say I'm obligated, it's Kriya Shema, or there's no one to be cover the mace, there's no one to bury him, or there's no one to be Mesameh Chosan Kala. In that case, I'm obligated to do that. I can't learn. We're talking where I have an option. I mean, it's not a los assay, it's an assay, but it's an optional assay, meaning there are enough people to bury him, but I could add cover the mace. Or enough people in Smei Chos and Akal, I could add to it. So that's why I have a choice. Do I choose learning Torah, or do I choose that mitzvah? Limud Torah wins. And again, the Gra's logic is because this is hundreds of mitzvahs as opposed to one mitzvah. Okay, Shabbos, Dav Yud Aleph, Amud Aleph.
Rabbi, there are like gradations with Afshar De'acher, right? Meaning like sometimes you see Gedolim going to weddings. So even though it's Afshar De'acherim, for whatever reason, they feel that the simcha that the chassan and kala are going to get, because they're there, is greater simcha than if a shnuk like me goes.
So then it's not Afshar De'acherim.
That's what I'm saying. Meaning even in a mitzvah. Oh, you're saying stam, you just wouldn't consider that to be Afshar De'acherim.
Right. Meaning, let's say your name is Moshe Feinstein. Your name is whatever, Rav Aaron Kotler, right? You going to the wedding is like, oh my goodness, so no, it's Afshar. No, a regular guy can't do that. So it's
Well,
so how do they decide?
For good friends, a good friend would be the same thing, right? Lachara.
Correct. By the way, it would be. And you probably would. That's why a good friend gets married, you leave yeshiva. Why? What right do you have about Torah? The answer is because it's efsha. I'm a good friend of his. If I'm not there, it'll be noticed. So that's you know.
So when do you draw the line? What's a real efsha de'acherim?
So it's not easy. It's not easy because you shol eitzah, I guess is what I would tell you to do. Ask people older and wiser. No, but there's a certain point where, meaning, am I not needed? There are many weddings where I say to my wife, I am not going to Brooklyn. I'm not needed. I'm not important enough to make it, if I feel I know the chassan or something, whatever, okay, that's, you have to drive, you have to go. But, if you're not just another person, you're another, whatever. I'm not a big fan for sitting in the back of the, and just, I could do other things. It's that you have to be Mishayir if it's Efshai Dechem or not. That's really the criteria. Okay, now the Tanya Chavim She'oskim b'Torah Mafsikin l'Kriyas Shema, a group of Talmidei Chachamim who are sitting and learning Torah. Nevertheless, they have to mafsik, they have to stop for Kriyas Shema, ve'mafsikin l'Tfilah, but they do not have to stop for davening. Okay, Amar Rabbi Yochanan lo shanu al kagon Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai v'chaveirav. Who is it that doesn't have to stop for tefillah? Only people of the caliber of Shimon bar Yochai and his friends. Shetorasam umnosam. What they do professionally is learn. That's all they do. They don't stop to earn a living. So since they're so involved in learning, that's why the pater from tefillah. But kagon anu, but people like us. And again, this is the ironic part. It's Rabbi Yochanan who's saying people like us. We have to stop for both Shema and tefillah. Meaning, if you don't stop to earn a living, you're a professional learner, then you don't stop the davening. But if you're not, then you have to stop for tefillah as well. Okay.
But if he doesn't say, it sounds like there were a lot of Amoraim who were professional workers also. They were Talmidei Chachamim, but they did have parnasa.
Correct. The Rambam says most were. Rav Yochanan Sandler, they all had livings. They earned a living. Kollel is a modern phenomena. Certainly, the amount of people. Thank God we have the kind of shiras that we could support it. But historically, it was not really. He had a few. I mean, Rabbi Shal Salanta, they had didn't want to allow a second kollel. They had 14 guys in kollel, and they didn't want to open a second kollel because the Vilna couldn't support it. The city of Vilna could not support a second. All right. Anyway, Rashi says, they stopped the Torah for Kriyas Shema because Zman Deraisa B'shach B'chav Kamecha. The Torah says B'shach B'chav Kamecha ve'mafsikin tefillah. But these people don't have to stop for tefillah. Aval anu, but says Rabbi Yochanan, people like us, ho elu mafsikin deraseinu l'mnoseinu. Since we stop our Torah learning to earn a living, we're going to stop for davening. Okay, good. Frag the Gemara about Tanya of a stira. This brisa told us that early brisa told us. I'm sorry. This brisa taught us that you stop for Kriyas Shema, but you don't stop for tefillah. And problem is we have a brisa that says the opposite. We have a brisa that says just like you don't stop for tefillah. Kach ema signal Kriyas Shema. The answer is no, it's not a stira. Why? Because the first brisa was talking about learning Torah. That's what you stop for Kriyas Shema. This brisa is talking about Ibur Shana, involved the real mitzvah, Ibur Shana. Damar Adabar Ava V'chein Tanu Sabi Dargonya Amar Elazar Tzadok Kshina Oskin Be Ibur Shana Be Yavne. We're involved in the mitzvah of Ibur Shana in Yavne Lo Yinusik Lo Kriyas Shema Lo Tefillah. We didn't stop not for Shema nor for Tefillah. So basically, what is the logic? So Rashi tells us the reason. They would be no to discuss whether they had to make it a leap year, not going to miss Sanhedrin. So basically, when does this brisa says you don't stop a Shema, Tefillah, why? Osik mitzvah, you're involved in a mitzvah of Ibur Shana. Osik mitzvah patam in mitzvah. But this other brisa, the first brisa that says that you stop for Shema, that's talking about you weren't involved in a mitzvah, you're just learning. Sorry. Sorry, I said it that way, but I said it that way. You weren't involved in a mitzvah. You were just learning. Get the
Which is the
punchline?
question.
Yeah, exactly. So this is our first question. First question is, I believe, I'm not mistaken, I believe, right, if one's learning Torah, he's obligated to stop at Krishma and Tefillah. I believe Limit Torah is a mitzvah. I'm pretty sure. Matter of fact, the Mishnah told us it's Talmud Torah Shakol Keneged Kulam. So for Iba Shana you stop, surely for Torah, what's going on? That's Kasha number one to Sugyah. All right, good. Question number two.
I mean, Rabbi, just right off the bat,
Yeah.
Iber Shana is a tzibor. It's a tzibor mitzvah, right? It's a mitzvah for the tzibor that you're doing.
Yeah. Yes, it is. 100%. But
So just right off the bat, I hear a chilek just between Torah and Iber Shana.
Well, but here's the problem. First of all, the reason why Iber Shana Yapater is because of Osek Mitzvah Pater Mitzvah. Second of all, they were Oskim B'Torah B'Tzibur. It was Chaverim Oskim B'Torah. It was a public shiur. Rav Shimon Echai was giving shiur, or whatever. They were Oskim. It was publicly involved in Torah learning. But in any case, the real point is that Iber Shana, the reason why you're not mafsik v'krishma is because Osek B'Mitzvah of Iber Shana Pater Mitzvah, not because of Mitzvah D'Rabbanan, it's because of Osek Mitzvah. Talmud Torah is a mitzvah. And I'll prove that to you, because look at the Rambam. Here's the Rambam in Hilchos Ishus Teref Vav. It says as follows. It says the Rambam, Ish mitzvah perivia. A man is commanded on perivia lo isha, not a woman. And they must sign his chayv ish mitzvah ben sheva asrei. When is a man obligated in it? When he's 17 years old. Do you know why isn't he obligated when he's 13?
It's still a suffix if he's a gadol or not at 13.
We'll make it 14.
Okay.
Because he's a bar mitzvah. He has to perform every mitzvah he can.
So why does the Rambam say
He's not mature enough. He's not mature enough to get married.
Thank you. He can't sustain a marriage, meaning you're supposed to have as many kids as you can bring up as healthy over the Hashem. If you're not going to stay married because you're too immature, so what I'm saying to you is you have to remember this Rambam, and it's meaning it's a certain level of maturity when you're ready to sustain a marriage. In any case, they came and Shavar Esim Shanav Lo Nasa Isha Reza over Vatal Mitzvah. Once it passes 20 years and you didn't get married, he's over in Vatal Mitzvah. Meaning the point is, today I don't think this is true at 17, and I don't know about 20 either, by the way, but whatever. Okay. Anyway, but whatever the case, if he was involved in Torah study and Torah ba, he's afraid to marry a woman because he'll be afraid he's going to have to earn a living. But for Ishto, for his wife, then he's allowed to delay. Why? Simple. He's involved in mitzvah limit Torah. Osik mitzvah pater mitzvah. Koshkin b'Talmud Torah. Mandel for regular mitzvah is osik mitzvah pater mitzvah. Kavachom the mitzvah of Talmud Torah, which is shakol keneged kulam. Right? So basically, a man can delay getting married. Why? Because he's involved in mitzvah limit Torah. Right? He's mitzvah he's mitzvah periyavah. And the answer is, since he's involved in mitzvah limit Torah, osik mitzvah pater mitzvah, which brings us to question 2, which is what, gentlemen?
The Rambam seems to be saying the opposite of the Gemara.
The Rambam seems to be arguing with the Gemara. Question number 2 is, we just saw the Gemara says the Iber Shana, yes, a mitzvah like Iber Shana, that, yeah, the Bryce says you don't have to stop a Krishma. But that's Iber Shana. But Limit Torah, before Bryce says, no, even if your name is Rav Shimon Bar Yochai, your Torah Samnaso, even you have to stop a Krishma, because Torah doesn't have this principle of osek mitzvah pater mitzvah. Now, why it doesn't, we don't know, but it doesn't have that principle. The only problem is that the Rambam says it does have that principle, because the Rambam is talking about a man who's 20 years of age and he's involved in Torah study. He's afraid to marry a woman because he'll have to stop learning to support her. He's allowed to be ma'acher. He's allowed to delay getting married. Why? Because osek mitzvah pater mitzvah is a koshik in Talmud Torah. Talmud Torah is a mitzvah that he's osek in. Rabbi Rambam, did you forget the Bryce and Shabbos? So that's question number 2.
So, Rebbe, I thought a little more about this, And I think another thing to support, I was trying to say that the Rambam didn't mean it literally. He obviously meaning even during this time when he's learning, right? This extra years where he's learning, he's stopping to eat, he's stopping to sleep, he's stopping to do other things. There's plenty of time he could go out on dates, he could get married, he could, etc. This concept, there's going to be less quantity of learning overall. So that's not really osuk mitzvah patrim mitzvah. I don't know what that is. That's some sort of cheshbon, but it's not really osuk mitzvah patrim mitzvah.
Okay, let's assume he's Siddharim, he learns 12 hours a day. And he knows he gets married, he's going to have to work 9 to 5, so he's going to learn 3 hours a day. So here's his cheshbon. Right now, I have a mitzvah limud Torah that I'm involved in, namely 12 hours a day. And if I get married, I'll only be able to learn 3 hours a day. I'm involved in the mitzvah of osuk b'Torah, of limud Torah, patters me from the mitzvah perivia.
I'm going to be learning less learning, and therefore the cheshbon, I want to learn more learning. That's not osuk mitzvah patrim mitzvah.
So the Rambam made another mistake. You're saying the Rambam Stam
I'm saying is he doesn't mean it literally. He doesn't literally mean that it's osuk mitzvah patrim mitzvah.
Oh, he doesn't mean it literally. He doesn't mean it.
Using that terminology to refer to the concept of the fact that we see the osuk mitzvah patrim mitzvah, we see the fact that general concept exists. So therefore, if it's going to mean that he makes a cheshbon, then now he's going to learn for 3 hours a day instead of 12 hours a day, that's justified.
But you know, in Pesach, I have only one question. What then is the matir for him to be mavatal and mitzvah say deraisa? He's mechuyev in perivia, right? He's obligated. He has no. What's going to be matir him? He's a chiyav deraisa to be also in perivia. What allows him to say I'm delaying? Right? The Rambam said if he's 20 and he doesn't get married, he's mavatal mitzvah say, right? So, but if he's involved in learning, what's the if it's osik b'mitzvah pater mitzvah, I understand it. What the Rambam is saying is there's a patur. You're involved in a mitzvah limud Torah that paters you from another mitzvah of osik perivia. Then I understand the mechanism. But the Rambam doesn't mean osik mitzvah pater mitzvah. What is the mechanism that paters him from his obligation of being osik in perivia?
The Rambam seems to be saying that if the quantity is going to be decreasing tremendously, that we learn under the same general principle of osuk mitzvah patrim mitzvah.
What is the mechanism? He's obligated in perivia. What is patering him from that chiyuv?
Because he's going to have be able to learn less Torah.
Therefore, what paters him? He's not. We can't write the Torah. God wrote the Torah. We follow. Ours is but to do and die. Ours is but not to question why. And what did God say to do? God said, "Be osik to perivia." Don't tell me any other cheshbon. Unless you have a mechanism that's matir, if the Rambam means osik mitzvah pater mitzvah, I get it. And the osik in Talmud Torah paters you from the chiyuv of perivia. But if the Rambam doesn't mean that, what takes you out of your obligation of perivia? I want to do mitzvahs. Who asked you to write the Torah? Follow what God said. Don't write your own Torah.
So, Rebbe, maybe what Binyan Pesach is trying to say is that we can't be guaranteed that by getting married that we're going to be Makayim the mitzvah peruvu, because unfortunately some people don't have kids. So here you're doing a mitzvah, okay. So I want to say that the Rambam is saying not that it's 100% that you're learning, therefore we're going to push away this mitzvah. But we don't know that you're going to be able to be Makayim the mitzvah. So you have a suffix Makayim a mitzvah saseh versus a definite Makayim mitzvah saseh of learning. So for now, continue to learn because you're still a young guy.
Martin, there's validity to what you're saying. And there's a validity because I agree with you that when a person gets married, he doesn't know he's going to be Makayim the mitzvah. But here's the problem. Let's read the Rambam. The Rambam says, and once he's 20 and didn't marry a woman, Hareza over umavatal mitzvah say. Now the Rambam should have said he's a suffix over mitzvah say. Since if he got married, maybe he would have a kid, maybe he wouldn't. So he's over a suffix. But that's what the Rambam says. Your job is do your shtadlis. You're obligated to get married, and if you don't get married, you're called yimvatal mitzvah say. And by the way, kofan also, Bezdin would beat him, make him get married. Maybe I won't have a kid. That's not your cheshbon. You got to do what you're supposed to do. So I
maybe
agree
the exact opposite though. But he's gonna have a kid later because he's got enough time.
So what are you saying? What are you saying, sir?
that he's not mechuyev right now to do it if he has a very good reason. So it's not really
yeah,
osig mitzvah patur min a mitzvah.
yeah. Wait. Don't say it again. One second, Shlomo. Say it one more time.
It's not really osig mitzvah patur min a mitzvah in the traditional sense that you would be patur from a real mitzvah right now. But this isn't a chiyuv right now. You could do it later. You have time, assumably.
Yeah. Do you guys hear what our Toronto scholar is saying?
I like that. It helps bridge it.
What he's saying is a very, very interesting idea. What he's saying is maybe over here he's not mevatel and the asay because he has time. The only problem I have with what you're saying is ostensibly the Rambam doesn't agree. What if he's over mevatel mitzvah? What if he's 20 years old and he says, "I'm not learning, but I've got time. I'm going to wait till I'm 30." What would the Rambam say to him?
So you have to say it's late enough that we're saying, why aren't you getting married? You don't have any reason.
What's the difference? I want to earn. I want to make a lot of money. I want to live a rich lifestyle. I want to earn $1 million before I get married. That's my goal. I got plenty of time to have kids after. But Shlomo, I don't want to push you off because what you're saying has an awful lot of validity. And we're going to see that's a big, big issue we're going to come up to, whether you call this mevatel mitzvah, say, if you could really do it later. I'll give you a good for instance. Let's say I make a shvuah that I'm not going to put on tefillin until 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Now, the halacha is any shvuah that I make against the mitzvah isn't chal. Why? Because we made a shvuah on Har Sinai that I'm going to keep all the mitzvahs, nasa, right? We did this week's parsha. And Nasa v'nishma is considered mushba. We're considered taking a shvuah that we're going to do all the mitzvahs. So if let's say I make a mitzvah, I'm not going to eat. I make a shvuah. I'm not going to eat matzah on Pesach. The halacha is the shvuah is not chal. Why? Because you already made a shvuah to eat matzah, and now your shvuah is against your original shvuah. You can't make a second shvuah. But let's say I make a shvuah. I'm not going to wear tefillin until 4 o'clock. That shvuah is chal. Why? Because after 4 o'clock I could put on my tefillin. So what you're saying has a lot of validity, and we're going to see. I don't want to totally discount it.
Before we continue, if you're enjoying this content and want daily inspiration, join our WhatsApp group. Get uplifting messages directly from Rabbi Shafier himself. Just message +1 91489 36848 to get started.
But again, it doesn't read simply into the Rambam, because again, what the Rambam says is, at 20, he's over mevatel mitzvah say. According to your logic, it's not true.
The Rambam would definitely say if he was 20, but he was not mature enough to get married. L'chor, it's part of the Rambam would say he shouldn't get married, right?
I would have to agree. Assume you're right. Yes.
So the same thing. If he's torrid because of the fact that he's not going to be able to support his wife and be able to do his learning, that means in some ways he's not ready to get married.
I'm not ready to get married because I want to live a free life for another 10 years. I want to go to the movies. I want to go to the beach. I want to hang out.
No, so it's justified because of the importance of learning Torah.
But we're justified. I want to live a lifestyle of the lazy and fat and rich. What is your
say anywhere that's not a Torah hashkafa.
But you don't have a mechanism. Again, if you don't have a mechanism, you don't have a mechanism. If the Rambam means oseg mitzvah patur mitzvah, I understand the mechanism that takes you out of the obligation of the mitzvah. If you say like Shlomo, that maybe what takes you out of the obligation is because you can always do it later, then I understand why you could wait for Torah. But then I don't understand why you can't wait because you want to play pool, and whatever the reason is, you have time left to do it.
I mean, Metziah says we know that all the shittas that say you can wait don't say indefinitely. They have an end time period for this.
I understand, but I'm saying if the reason also mitzvah patur mitzvah, I get the mechanism. What the time is, we could discuss. But if the reason is like what Shlomo's saying, that just because I could do it later, and then stam I could do it later. And if you don't say there's osik mitzvah patur mitzvah, then again I don't see a mechanism that matters. So far, again, Shlomo's point is a lot of validity, but again, I don't think we could quite say we know pshat in the Rambam yet.
One more shot. In Koheles, at the end of Koheles, it says that The purpose of man is basically to learn the ways of Hashem. Right?
Sof kol adam. You're
Yeah.
right.
Right. So we can say like this, that doing the mitzvah of learning is actually greater than the mitzvah peruvu.
Okay.
And therefore, as long as he's mamish learning and not going over anything else in his life, like, movies or whatever, happy life or get rich or whatever. So it's okay. And maybe that's the shot here. I don't know.
Right. The problem is that ours is but to do and die. Ours is not to question why. We follow the Torah. The Torah says you have to be osig in Perivia once you're 20 years old. Tell me why it is that I don't have to be osig in Torah in Perivia. I'm 20 years old. I'm learning Yeshiva. What takes me out of the obligation? Let's say I say I don't want to put on tefillin because I'm learning Torah. What would you say to me?
The time issue. Remember, we had certain mitzvahs that are time related. So you're saying that 20 is the time related issue also? Then you have a big problem because
no, I'm not saying. I'm saying I don't understand the Rambam. You're saying you do.
Okay. Right? Well, it can't be time, because if it's time, then just like you can't say I don't want to do tefillin today. All right. So the point of being 20, I got to pull that out somehow, because mamish, the person hits 20. You're saying, listen, this is the halacha. You got to get married. You have to have children. And it's the same idea, same concept of putting on tefillin in the morning. You don't have a chance to say, I don't want to do it this morning. What do you mean you don't want to do it this morning? You got to do it this morning. So,
good, but if he's learning Torah, then what?
If he's learning Torah, so now all of a sudden, it's no longer a time mitzvah the way we understand it as a deadline. And the mitzvah of peruvu is on you until you fulfill it.
Right.
So if it starts at 20 and you could be 50 already and you don't have kids, you still have to fulfill that mitzvah somehow.
So why does Torah help?
So the only thing is, it was mentioned before from forgive me, from Canada, that he's got time yet. He's got time yet. He's got time yet. But
right. So if you say time, then time should allow him to sit on the beach and get fat. Meaning, if you have time, so there's no obligation. It's not a time-bound mitzvah. I got plenty of time to fill it. Then I'm not obligated. So even if I want to sit and play billiards, I can do that. I don't have to. You don't have to be osig b'Torah. Elamai, there is a time. At 20, you consider mature enough to sustain a marriage. Now you're obligated to perivia. So if that's true, why are you allowed to learn Torah? What's the heter? Elamai, you tell me osig mitzvah potem mitzvah. So that seems to be what the Rambam's saying. And the problem is that seems to argue with the Gemara in Shabbos.
Right. All right. We got all right. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Question number 2 is didn't we learn we don't say osig mitzvah?
That's the question. Does the Rambam give an upper limit to when osig mitzvah patur mitzvah won't help you wait anymore?
No, I don't think it does. I'm surprised. You're right. Let me try.
You have like a Ben Azai club?
No, he even mentions Ben Azai, and Ben Azai is honest, is considered honest, but he doesn't. I don't think. No, he does not mention. I'm pretty sure it does not mention upper time.
Masaber brings down 25, I think.
I looked. I haven't seen it yet. I got to look further. When you mentioned that, I haven't seen it yet. I'll look. I'll continue looking. I do not recall. But I'll look. There. Well, you look 1 second. You mention it. Prove it.
All right, I'll have to. I don't have my smartphone. I'm visiting my parents, but okay.
You don't have Safaria where you live?
Oh, Safaria. That's an interesting way to do it.
All right. Anyway, no excuses today, right?
I'm not so technologically advanced as Rebbe.
All right. If not, I use the Ortza Chachma now. Bar Ilan's, it's unbelievable. Find anything It's a query, a search, and you find every. My biggest problem is I get a list, such a long list, I can't read everything. Oh my god, like
You have to have the CD, or is there a place you could look online
no,
for
no,
that?
no. I use the online. I go through Spurtus. I'm not a rich guy, so I go. There's a for $100, $180 a year, you join Spurtus, and then you have the access to it or whatever. You ask me later, I'll explain to you. Okay. Anyway, let's go on, gentlemen. Kedushin Daf Mem Amud Beis. See, we have a nice Gemara. Teach us following. Like fire, Rabbi Tarfon Zakanim Shemeli is based on the Tzaz of Elul. Rabbi Tarfon and the Zakanim was Musubim and Eliyah based on the Tzaz in Lud. Nishala Shela Zubifneim. This question was asked to them. What's this question? Talmud Gadol or Maisa Gadol? Which is greater, learning Torah or doing mitzvahs? Which you have a choice of learning Torah and doing mitzvah, which is greater? None. Rabbi Tarfon Amar Maisa Gadol. Rabbi Tarfon answers Maisa's Gadol. None. The Rabbi Kiva Amar no. Talmud Gadol Chas Shalom. Maisa learning Torah is greater. None. Kulam Amru. All of them answered and said Talmud Gadol. Talmud is greater. Why? Shat Talmud maybe lead de Maisa. The reason why Talmud is greater is because Talmud leads to Maisa. All right, good. So far we got this. The question was,
What does that mean?
What do you mean? What does it mean?
If Talmud leads to Misa, so then that would imply that Misa is greater.
Exactly. And this is what we call an endless loop. Torah is so chashiv, you know why? Because it leads to Maisa. Therefore, do Torah. When you say if you do Maisa. Well, again, watch it. Torah is so chashiv. Why? Because it leads to Maisa. Therefore, do Torah and don't do Maisa. If Torah is chashiv because it leads to Maisa, so do Maisa, don't do Torah. What do you like? What? You know, right? That's what Miriam Pesach's asking. This is an endless loop. So you know why Torah is so chashiv? You know why? If you learn Torah, you come to do the most important thing called Maisa. So therefore, you should learn Torah, do Maisa. Obviously, Maisa is more important. Do Maisa. All right, we'll have to see. We'll get to the Torah. We'll get to the Bach. We'll get some. But in any case, the Gemara's question is, what's more important, learning or Maisa? And by the way, this really Baruch was asking this really, right? Baruch, you with us? Baruch Berg was asking this.
Yeah.
Right. All right. Talmud Gadol or Maisa Gadol. So this is the question: what's greater, learning Torah or doing mitzvahs? Gemara's conclusion is Talmud is greater. Why? Because Talmud brings to Maisa. And again, it seems to be an endless loop. And now Rashi throws us for a loop because Rashi throws the loop the other way. Listen what Rashi says, based on Saz Hashem Ish, Shatalma de Maisa. What does Rashi say? Nimsu Shneim biyado. Therefore, you end up with both in your hands. Since Talmud leads to Maisa, therefore what? Therefore, do Talmud. Why? Because you get both. You get Talmud and you get Maisa. If you learn, you end up doing the Maisa. So learn and you get both. If you only do Maisa, you only got Maisa. But if you do Talmud, you get Talmud and Maisa.
That's not so bad.
That's
pretty good.
Maybe we'll have to see. I don't really. Let's see. Let's lig more of how it is. Well, let's see how the Torah explains it. So we're up to this session. Today's work. Here we go. We have a Torah in Yeridea Reish Mem Vav. This is the halachas of Talmud Torah. And this is a very important siman to learn, gentlemen. I don't know why we don't learn in Yeshiva. Actually, we did, but people don't pay too much attention to it for some reason. Okay, anyway. Ein lecha mitzvah mitzvahs kula shish kula keneged Talmud Torah.
Maybe skipping the Moed Cotton stuff.
Yeah, I'm skipping the Moed Cotton stuff. We went over that already a few times, right?
I don't know. I'm just asking because it was there and you skipped it.
yeah. I assume we got it. We'll come back to it, but right now I don't think we need to. We got to get moving because we're getting late and we got tonight's work to know. Okay, it says the Torah in Yeridea. Right, the Torah is the Rosh Hashanah. The Torah is way before the Shulchan Aruch, hundreds of years, 200 years before the Shulchan Aruch, and the Torah was the first real serious codifier who changed the. Anyway. There is no mitzvah of all the mitzvahs that is shakol keneged Talmud Torah. Ela Talmud Torah keneged kol mitzvahs kulam. Rather, Talmud Torah is keneged all the mitzvahs at all. Sorry, I apologize for that. Why? Shatalmud v'dei Maisa, because Talmud comes to Maisa. Gentlemen, the Torah said two things in a statement that he shouldn't have said. What are the two things that the Torah has said in this statement that he should not have said? Let me read it again slowly. Ein lecha mitzvah v'chol mitzvahs kulam shish kula keneged Talmud Torah. There is no mitzvah of all the mitzvahs anywhere that's equal to Talmud Torah. Ella Talmud Torah keneged kulam. Rather, the opposite. Talmud Torah is keneged kulam. And why is that? Shatalmud mevi lidei ma'isa. Because Talmud comes to ma'isa. There are two things this Torah has said that don't belong here. He shouldn't have said it, and we're going to have to ask why. What are those two things, gentlemen?
It's a stira here.
What's that?
He's saying that nothing more important than Talmud Torah. Yet, if you learn, it's going to bring it to Maisa. So,
Okay, no, you're right, but really that's a quote from the Gemara, so you know you can't fault the man for quoting
it. Feels like the Talmud called him Lamaisa. So, all
right, I'll give you a clue. Where do these words come from? Talmud Torah keneged kol mitzvahs. Where do those words come from?
Talmud Torah keneged kulam.
From where?
The Gemara in Shabbos?
No.
The Mishnah.
The Mishnah. Look at the Mishnah in Peah. Mishnah Peah, right? It says the Mishnah Peah. The Talmud Torah keneged kulam. So listen.
The first thing was Shabbos, right?
So now the first thing the Torah did wrong was the Mishnah told us Talmud Torah keneged kulam. Starts the Torah. The Torah starts the whole day. Ein lecha mitzvah chol mitzvah kulam shish kol keneged Talmud Torah. Who asked you to add that? Who cares? The Mishnah told us Talmud Torah keneged kol mitzvahs. Let me tell you more. The Mishnah didn't tell you enough. There's no mitzvah in all the mitzvahs that are equal to Torah. Rather, Torah is equal to all. Just say what the Mishnah said. The Mishnah said it clearly. Talmud. I'm sorry, wrong slide. My bad. 1 second. Where am I? Where'd I go? Wrong way. 1 second. We lost. The Mishnah. Where'd I go? I'm totally lost now. 1 second. Oh my God. Here I am. What? The Mishnah said perfectly clearly. Talmud Torah keneged kulam. Concise and clear. Talmud Torah is keneged kulam. That says it all. What is the Torah adding? There is no mitzvah that's more valuable than Torah. Rather, Torah is equal to all. Very nice, but the Mishnah said it in 4 words, and you said it in 18 words. Would you please be concise and say what you mean?
He's embellishing a little bit. He can't embellish.
Embellishing. He's paid by the word. Mark Twain was paid 10 cents a word, so he wrote long articles for the Saturday Evening Post. But the Torah is not paid by the word. Right? This whole statement, all of that whole statement is not needed. Just say this. Talmud Torah keneged kol mitzvahs kulam. That's what the Mishnah said, and that's the pshat. What are you hacking a chinik? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 words that aren't needed.
But Rebbe, don't the Achronim do this sometimes? Like you'll see, like by different halachos, and they're tying different halachos together. They talk about the importance of different things.
Add if it teaches us something. That's what I'm trying to stop on. What is the Torah teaching us with that phrase? He only said that phrase to teach us something. Oh, the question is, what is he teaching us with that phrase? That's the question. The Torah didn't waste a word. The Torah is a son of the Rush, almost a Rishon. Avas Akitzer, they loved variety because every word was weighed and measured. If the Torah added 11 words here, a whole phrase that the Mishnah didn't say, he's obviously trying to teach us something. The question is, what is it? Okay, that's one problem. The other problem is, gentlemen, if I read this Mishnah, Talmud Torah keneged kulam, what's pshat? Why is Talmud Torah keneged kulam?
We said mathematically, no?
The Gra taught us do the math. What lulav is one mitzvah. A Daf Gemara is hundreds of mitzvahs. Seichel is mechayev, and Seichel obligates to do the hundreds. So now I got that. Everybody got that? That's the Gra taught us Pshat in the Mishnah, right? Says the Torah. Let me tell you Pshat in the Mishnah. Shatalma mevili demaisa. What? That's why Talmud Torah is keneged kulam? Is that true? Why did the Torah put this in here?
Rabbi, the fact that you mentioned that now, it does ask a kasha on the Gra. Like the Torah doesn't, the Mishnah doesn't say that Torah is better than all the other mitzvahs. It says keneged. It's a funny.
And not just that. You want to hear a good question on the Gra? Do we count which mitzvahs are more important? Are we allowed to? Let's say
it's Mishnah and Avos. Mishnah and Avos says
What?
Ain't matan schar mitzvahs, because you don't know which ones are.
Hashem specifically didn't say the value of mitzvahs, one's more valuable than the other. Why? Because Hashem didn't want you doing only one mitzvah and leaving the rest aside. What did the Gra tell us then? The Gra told us Torah is hundreds, everything else is one. Wait a minute, I told you we don't use it as a cheshbon. You're not allowed to play God. And God says, do this. I don't care the value, not the value. Do what you're told to do.
Oh, it's not that he didn't do the value. Each time you learn a word, each word is a mitzvah. And then you do it, add them all up. So it's not that he's saying it's a greater mitzvah. He's saying the act of learning requires that you do multiple mitzvahs.
Except therefore, the Gra then said, therefore, if you have a choice of doing one mitzvah or 100 mitzvahs, a seichel machayev, logic dictates that you learn Torah and you don't do the other mitzvah. I thought we don't count. I thought you're not allowed to count. You're not allowed to do that. Oz is but to do and or die. Oz is not to question why. I heard my Rebbe to Yeshiva that I'll say that phrase, I don't know how many times. Meaning our job is to follow, dozens, right? Our job is to follow the Torah. Don't go making all your cheshbonis. I'm going to get all them haba. Do what God told you to do.
Why does the Mishnah tell us Keneged Kulam?
Maybe the Mishnah wants to tell us the value, but you're not allowed to use that in the cheshbon. You're not allowed to use that to decide to do one and not the other. You want to learn Musar to learn the value of it, so you'll be motivated. Okay, good. Shkoyach. But you can't use that.
I don't understand. If you're going to tell me that I'll be doing 100 mitzvahs instead of one, I'm not making a cheshbon of which mitzvah is greater. I'm telling you though, 100 mitzvahs is greater than one.
But you don't have a right to decide to do one thing because you get more reward than the other. Watch this one. Let's say I decide Kfuras Meis mitzvah is a big mitzvah, and therefore I'm going to do that. I'm not doing any other mitzvahs. What would you say to me? I'd say you're krum.
Yeah,
You don't have a right to do that.
You're the Kfuras Meis.
I'd say your svar is dead on arrival.
Oh, well.
Wow.
Remember,
Good one.
Wait.
Good one.
The Kohen Gadol can do a Meis mitzvah. Therefore, a Meis mitzvah has what's known as urgent and important, and it has to be done mamish at that moment because every minute you wait is a tsar to the Meis.
Right.
Okay. So
What if Kriyas Megillah? If you have a choice of Kriyas Megillah, for the mace, you read the Megillah and push off the mace. Right? Why? Because the Bible told me to do it. It's only the Rabbanan. That's what we do. That's halacha, right? And the Kfuras Meis that ain't Kriyas Megillah is docha even Kfuras Meis. Why? Because your job is to follow the Torah. You'll bury him later, but you can't read the Torah. You can't read Megillah after the time. If you have enough time to read the Megillah and bury him, fine. You bury him and read the Megillah after. And then if you're not going to have enough time to read the Megillah, you'll have time to bury him after. You won't have time to read the Megillah after. So therefore, the Mikra Megillah has precedence, and you don't bury him. Because again, our job is to follow the Torah. Don't make your cheshbonos, and don't do. All right, it's a cute question on the grudge, and we have to think about it. But all right,
Lamais, that group with that question, L'chara helps and make the Torah a little bit easier to understand.
Maybe
meaning because now the Torah is saying that the reason why it's Talmud Torah Keneged Kulam is not because of what the Gra said, but because of the fact it's Torah L'Dei Maisa.
All right, maybe I would agree with you. I think I would agree with you, but we got a problem with the Gra. But okay, but anyway, therefore says the Torah. Therefore, learning Torah comes before Maisa in all places. Meaning what? If he had in front of him the opportunity to do a mitzvah and learn, if that mitzvah could be done by other people, enough people to bury him, enough people to go to the wedding, then don't stop your learning. But if there aren't enough people to do it, then mitzvah. If it's then stop your learning and okay, you do the mitzvah and come back to your learning. Okay, good. So basically, the Torah tells us the principle that always Talmud comes before Ma'aseh b'chol makom. Meaning, in what case? If it is what, gentlemen? When does Talmud? If it's Efshai De'acherim, then Talmud comes first. If it's efshar derech meaning no one else to bury him, no one else to Mismei Chosn Kala, and you have to stop your learning. But any case that's efshar derech learn Torah first. And what's the reason? Because Talmud Mevili de Maisa. All right, so far so good. The Bahalo Pligi on this fact, if it's EF Shalasosai Dechem, and there's no one else to do it, no one argues the Pshita, the Maisa Gadol. It's obvious that Maisa is Gadol. Why? Talmud Loba Elavil de Maisa. I'll prove to you if it's EF Shaidechem, you have to do it and stop learning. Why? Because we know the greatness of Limud Torah is it brings to Maisa. And so surely if you have an obligation to do the Maisa, when do we say Talmud Gadol? Only when it's Efshalas. So again, it says the Torah, the principle is everyone agrees that if it's Efshalas, no one else to do it, I have to stop learning. Why? Because the greatness of Torah is that it brings the Maisa. So obviously, if I have a chiv to do the Maisa, I got to do it. I can't stop learning. But if in fact it's Efshalas, and then the rule is that always Talmud comes first.
Because it would be a steer, he's saying. If we're saying that Torah leads to Maisa, and I don't do the Maisa when it comes along, so then the Torah is obviously not leading to Maisa.
But what? But if it's Efshar Decherim, then what?
Yeah, that makes no sense.
Then I can do my preparation for those other times.
It'd be the exact same.
Say it again. Yaakov, say it again.
It sounds like just like a total stira from the beginning to the end. This first half and the second half of the statement sound like total stiras.
Explain to me why, please.
The whole concept of Torah being shackled to all the other mitzvos and like being better to learn Torah than all the other mitzvos, it just sounds so antithetical to the concept that Torah is really just a lead up to Maisa. So if you have a mitzvah, if you have such a Maisa that's EF Shaladecherim, then you have to stop learning Torah. It seems like you should jump up to do any Maisa, no matter what kind of mitzvah it is. If it's this tiniest little Maisa, you should get up and run and do it.
Even if the greatness of Torah is one thing, it brings to Maisa. So who cares? Efsha, not Efsha. Go do the Maisa. First of all, it's this dead steer to the Gra. The Gra told us that Torah is greater than anything. Why? Because you have hundreds of mitzvahs. So what the Gra does, Torah and the Gra are like on different worlds. But
they agree about it, right?
One second. But let's assume the Gra is wrong. Okay, the Gra is totally throw them out. Torah says I have a different system. It's the greatness of Torah is what? It brings the Maisa. Okay, good. So watch this. If no one else is there to do it, so of course I have to do the Maisa. Why? Because the whole greatness of Torah is that it brings the Maisa. So you got to do the Maisa. But if someone else can do it, then learn Torah. Why? The Maisa is greater, so do the Maisa. The greatness of Torah brings to Maisa, so do the Maisa. Well, someone else could do it. Big deal. Maisa is greater than Torah. Why shouldn't you do it? What's the Efshin, Efshin? What's the difference?
Well, let's say the concept is like Binyamin Pesach was trying to say, that it's because you're showing that you don't really care. You're not really doing it for the Maisa if you're going to skip it when you have to do it.
And let's say you don't have to do it.
So then you don't need it to prove that your Torah is learning for the right reasons. Someone else is going to do it. I don't have to do it right now.
But I want to ask you a question. What is more valuable? Is learning more valuable? Torah is more valuable?
There's a problem. There's a steer to what you're doing. If you're saying this Torah is super valuable.
How do we read these words? Kol mitzvahs kulam shatalmud mevi lidei maisa.
So that's the pshat. It's like it's a tour. It gets you two, like Rashi said. It's gonna maybe lead a Maisa, so this is better. It has the aspect of leading to the Maisa too.
The pshita, the Maisa gadol. It's obvious that the Maisa is greater. Why? The whole mile of Talmud is it brings you to Maisa. Obviously, Maisa is the ultimate greatness. The whole beauty. Yeah.
Because maybe this is like what Binyamin Pesach was trying to say, that this is a steer now to your idea that when the Maisa comes along, you're not doing it. So you're not doing it l'shem.
But that's what he's saying. Again, he's saying the whole plea. It's pshita, the Maisa gadol. It's pashut. It's obvious that Maisa is greater than Torah. Why? Because the whole greatness of Talmud is that it brings the Maisa.
Yeah, you're going to lose that if you don't do the Maisa when it comes. because
But
you're
what
just,
do you
that's
mean
like showing that you don't care. That's
But
not
what
what
does it
you're
mean?
doing it.
It's pshit that a mice is greater. What do you mean push it? The mice is greater because
In this case, the mice is greater.
why is the mice greater in this case? It's not true.
Because if you don't do it, then your Torah is useless. You're nothing versus mice now. You've just lost
It's
your
not
whole
the it's not
specialness
the
of
mice
Torah.
is guddle. You say what you mean. There would be a stira. If
It's
you
mice gadol, because if you do the cheshbon, if you don't do the mice, then the Torah is not
it's
going to
not
be
the
worth
mice
as
is
much.
guddle. It's that if you don't do it, you're sosa yourself. It's not the mice is
No,
guddle.
it's
How do
in
you say
this
mice
case
is
because
guddle?
it comes out that you're going to
Shlomo,
lose
if
the
I would
fact.
try this, you would laugh at me. You'd say it doesn't fit in the lashon, but you could do it. Come on. You'd throw me out the window if I tried this in the lashon of a Torah.
I couldn't possibly.
You can't because you're in Toronto. But if you were here, you would do it.
Rebbe,
Right?
Rebbe,
Yeah.
what, I mean, isn't it possible that what's being said here is Misa is greater, but you can't have Misa without Talmud? Because if you don't know how to do something, you go say to somebody, go drive a car. All right? You got to learn how to drive a car. You can't do it. So the fact that you have to learn, and you have to learn clearly, right? Exactly what you're doing to do the mitzvah makes what? Makes the Talmud Torah very, very important, but you shouldn't think for a moment that it's an end in of itself. The end of itself is to get to the Maisa.
Okay, now here's the problem. I hear what you're saying, Martin, but the problem is Kagon Ana. The Gemara says, who is it to ask, what about somebody like me who learned Kol Torah Kula? Can I learn Chochmas Yavam? No, even you shouldn't, meaning there were people who knew Kol Torah Kula. Well, let's say a guy, he learned for 40 years and he knows what he's supposed to do. So to that kind of person, what would you say?
I would ask him if he goes over before every Yom Tov, the Dinam of Yom Tov.
He does.
He does.
His name is
that's
Rav Kanievsky.
So that's my answer.
That what?
He goes over the Dinam before every Yom Tov.
I
Why?
understand, but what's the greatness of Talmud? Again, what the Torah is saying is that even a person like that, the greatness of Talmud is not that it teaches you how to do the Maisa, it's that it brings you to the Maisa, and the Maisa is the big deal. The Maisa is the main thing. The Maisa is the important thing. So the Maisa is the important thing. What difference does it make whether I'm obligated to, whether is somebody else to do it or not? Somebody else to do it. You should do the Maisa. It's the best thing. It's the biggest thing. It's the important thing.
We have to appreciate the Torah for bringing these two Mishnayos seemingly in stira together and making an absolute confusion out of it. At least he tied them. At least he tied them together, and now we have to just figure out the Torah.
Rabbi, I think we need to take a step back. If let's say, just forget Torah for a second.
Yeah.
Comes along two different mitzvahs. A mitzvah comes along for me to do, and it's Efshal Yidei Echeren.
And it's what it is.
And I choose not to do it because I say someone else can do it. Okay, so now I come up to Shemaim, and they say to me, "Why didn't you do this mitzvah?" It's not a time on me. Because someone else is going to do it. It's Efshal Yidei Echeren. Okay,
Good.
Fine, good. Now comes along a mitzvah which is not Efshal Yidei Echeren, and I set it aside and I don't do it. There's mitainas on this guy. Why didn't you do the mitzvah?
Right.
So the guy who's learning Torah, just because he's learning, he can't push aside those types of tainas. If there's a mitzvah which is not EF Shardei it's EF Shardei I'm sorry, that no one else can do, and now the mitzvah comes along, and you're going to say, I'm not going to do the Maisa. So you're saying you're a Ben Torah, you're a Yid, you're not keeping the mitzvahs.
No, Binyamin Pesach, I really do agree with you in the big picture. I can't tell you now why I agree with you, but I happen to agree with you. But I'm holding it for future. I have a mahalach that largely agrees with what you're saying, but I would say at this point it's unbased and unfounded. Unless you have a few more steps, it's unbased and unfounded for a simple reason. Because what the Torah is saying is that the greatness of Maisa is greater because that's all Talmud. The value of Talmud is that it brings to Maisa. He's not saying anything about the fact that you're a Ben Torah, not a Ben Torah, anything like that. But I don't want to push off what you're saying totally because again,
But he says he says specifically excludes that case. He's saying that's in that case it's not. Maisa is not greater.
Binyamin Pesach, I can't totally disagree because again, in the end, I'm going to agree very much. But again, I would say at this point, it's still unbased and unfounded in the Torah. That would be my sense of things. All right, but let's proceed. We got to get to the Bach, and so we do have a question here. Let's do the Bach. Bach on the Torah. Bach his job was to explain to us the Torah. Says the Bach as follows: Masha kazal lefikach talmud kodem lemaisa b'chol makom. Why did the Torah say this? The Talmud comes from b'chol makom near the Rav Kashlei Baha. The Soperik Kedushin, the Rav, meaning the Torah, had a question on this Gemara in Kedushin. In Shaila, over there they asked the question, Talmud Gadol or Maisa Gadol, which is greater, learning or the Maisa? Vasikna, we come out Maskana, Talmud Gadol, Talmud, maybe the Maisa. Talmud's greater because Talmud comes from Maisa. Says the Bach, the Main of Kusa B'Sheila Zu. Who cares? Talmud's Gadol. Ma'asa's Gadol. Who cares? What Shaila? What nafkamina is there? What's the Musa Sefer over here? The Gemara. The Shaila means there's a halachic Shaila asked. Halachic Shaila, big machlokas. Retarvin says this. Rekiva says this. The Chachamim all agree to this. What's the difference? It's not it makes no difference. So says the Bach. That's exactly where the Torah learned it from. Therefore, the Torah learns the nafkamina shimhayi lefanav asiyas mitzvah talmud Torah. They had the opportunity of learning and doing a mitzvah. If it's possible to be on someone else, he should be mafsik his Talmud. The Talmud Gadol should be the Maisa, because Talmud is greater. Because the Maisa, bimlav yasa Maisa v'yachzul Torah. If not, let him do the mitzvah and go back to his Torah. Gentlemen, what is the Bach saying?
No idea.
Okay, an honest man is hard to find. Very good.
He's saying that the purpose of the Torah connecting up the Mishnah and Peah to this other Mishnah is to give practical cause to this discussion about Maisa and Gadol Maisa or Gadol Limud.
Meaning what? Explain to me what you mean, please.
Meaning if it would come out that the Maisa was greater, then even if it's after day acherim, you would l'chara have to do the Maisa. Anytime a Maisa came along, you'd have to do the Maisa. But if Talmud's better, so then you can if as long as after day acherim, then you don't have to do it.
You have managed to lose me. The Bach went through the whole thing. He said the Torah had this big question. Like the big question is, what difference does it make? Talmud Gadol, Maisa Gadol, who cares? There's no nafkamina. The answer is that's why the Torah learned what he learned, because he said there has to be a nafkamina, and that's why the Torah learned the way he learned. That what? Therefore, the nafkamina shimai l'fanav asiyas mitzvah talmud Torah. Therefore, we learned it must be speaking about this case. It must be the Gemara in Kedushin was talking about this very case. The case where you have a Efshel and Torah. It must be that's the case they're talking about. Why would the Gemara have an irrelevant machlokas? The answer is not irrelevant. It must be they were talking in this case where it's Efshel and the question is, what do you do? Says Rabbi Tarfon, Maisa comes first. Says Rabbi Kiva, no, Talmud comes first. They all agreed, Talmud comes first. What's the case? Where it's Efshel I have a mitzvah that can be done. Plenty of people to cover the mace. Plenty of people to go down to the chasana. Do I learn or do I do that mitzvah? Rabbi Tarfon says, do the mitzvah. Rabbi Kiva says, no, learn. And they all agree in the end, learning comes first. But that's exactly the case of the Gemara in Kedushin. And why else would they be arguing?
Rabbi, it's almost like the word Maisa in Amoraic language means Maisa Shaloi. That's not possibly done by others. It's like we're missing a piece of information here that if someone else could do it, it's not really a Maisa. It's like a
the question is, what case were they talking about? Rabbi Tarfon, they sat in that basically in the attic over there, and there was a big machlokas. What was the case that they were arguing? Says the Bach. I'll tell you what the case is. The case obviously was you have a mitzvah that can be done by others or Torah, and that's the machlokas. Says that the Torah says obviously they have to have some machlokas, some relevance in halacha. says the Torah, must be that that's the case, and that's exactly what the Gemara is teaching us. That when you have an efshel lasosei decherim and limud Torah, limud Torah comes first, trumps it. That's the case.
One second, there's a second part. The second part is if it's efshel decherim, then you have to do it because maybe daily ma'isa teaches me that I have to do the ma'isa.
Right.
So when it's efshel decherim, then I do have to do the ma'isa.
You're 100% correct.
I'm saying
what's
it's
the
not
logic?
just one case. It's the second case also. That's the second case.
What do you mean?
Meaning the one case was it's efshel decherim. So it's efshel decherim. What do I do? So we come out. We say you do Talmud. You learn. In that case, it's efshel. What do you do when it's efshel decherim? No, then you have to do ma'isa.
It's almost like there's a svara. There has to be a svara that if it's efshar al yedei cherem, then it's like extraneous. It's like you're not really providing anything to the world. It's at least vis-a-vis learning Torah. Like it's cute almost. It doesn't accomplish anything. If other people are able to do it, and I have a greater responsibility, then why am I doing that?
No, only because I'm learning. If you're playing Nintendo and you go ahead and decide you're going to go do first a mace, then great. That's great. You're doing a mitzvah.
Well, who said you? Why are you allowed to play Nintendo? Who said it's mutter to play Nintendo?
Right. It's not. If you're learning all the time, unless you have a reason not to.
Meaning, fakir, I would say you shouldn't go be cover a mace if you're playing Nintendo. You should go learn.
That's right. That is correct.
I mean, I'm a big talker, but I'm just saying if we're talking theoretically here.
No, but you're right. You're right. So, all right, do we understand, gentlemen, what the Bach is adding for us? What does the Bach add for us? The Bach thinks he's making sense out of the Torah, doesn't he? The Bach explains the Torah. So again, let's follow the cheshbon of the Bach. Says the Bach like this: the reason why the Torah added this again, the Torah added a line that it shouldn't have added, right? Why did the Torah add this line that right? Where did he get that from? He got that from the following point. The Gemara in Kedushin had an argument that doesn't seem to make any nafkamina halacha. Is Talmud Kodem or Maisa Kodem? Who cares? We're having a theoretical argument. It's a shaila. It's a question. This was a psak halacha. They were arguing. What's the difference? Says the Torah must be that they were talking in the following case. In a case where it's efshel lasosei decherim, and that's when Rabbi Tafran said, if you have a choice of learning Torah or doing a mitzvah that's efshel decherim, grab the mitzvah. Mitzvahs come first. Says Rabbi Kiva, no. In that case, Talmud comes first. It's efshel lasosei decherim. And everyone agrees, Rabbi Kiva, that Talmud comes first because efshel lasosei decherim. Since that is the case where they were arguing, therefore, says the Torah, that's why I learned that b'chol makam, anytime you have efshel lasosei decherim, the Torah comes first before the Maisa. Of course, if you're obligated in the Torah to have efshel lasosei decherim, you have to do it. All right. Does anyone know what this Bach is saying?
So he was really mechadesh. He was really just mechadesh that the Gemara, the case in that Gemara, is EF Shari, or meaning the Shaila in that Gemara is EF Shari Decherim.
No. Is what?
That's the Shaila.
Is Efshar.
Is Efshar Decherim, right? That's the Shaila in that Gemara.
Right. And that's why the Torah said his rule. The Torah told us a rule that if it's Efshar, so meaning you have the following case. Efshar Decherim, what Torah says the Torah, the rule is Torah always comes first. Where did the Torah get that from? He got it from the Gemara in Kedushin, because the Gemara in Kedushin obviously has to be talking about some case, and it can't be talking about a case where it's Efshar Decherim. It must be the Gemara is talking a case where it's Efshar, and that's what the Gemara is saying. Torah comes first, and therefore says the Torah, says the Bach, that that's what the Torah knows is halacha from. Now, what does this do for us? Number one, it creates a lot of problems with the Gra. We can't read the Gra with this. Somebody missed something. And number two, I have a big problem with this tour. Anyone know what the problem with the tour is?
Or the Bach?
Well, the Bach's version of the tour. I don't know. But I mean, the way he sets it up. Let me see if my slides make it clear. My slides don't make it clear. 1 second. No, my slides don't.
Maybe the Rambam? Does the Rambam have a problem though?
Gentlemen, would you believe that I forgot what my problem with the tour is? Would you believe I'm caught flat-footed, dumb, unprepared? I normally prepare. This couple came at 7. What time did they come? 6:30. They didn't leave till right before 9 o'clock. And
Rabbi, welcome to my world sometimes, you know.
I hear you. I hear you.
What day of the week is it? What day of the week is it today?
Shabbos? No, it's not Shabbos. So, no, I knew this. I had a real bomb cash on the tour, and I lost it. I had this morning. I had a shop. I forgot what my problem was.
It's already 10:20. The Rebbe doesn't want to get into it because it's 10:20.
Oh, that's it. I ran out of time. I ran out of time. I can't tell you. Right? Yeah, that's exactly it. Good cover up. Good cover up, gentlemen. I'm caught flat-footed, but there's something wrong with this. We'll come back. This tour is going to be very important. We'll see with the Bach on the tour. But again, I'm mamish. I've lost my. I lost the flow, and I don't know. So I'm gonna just I'm gonna follow B'nai Pesach lead. Unfortunately, we've run out of time. I would love to tell you the answer, but we don't have time. I'm sorry.
But Rebbe, really quick, what's in the Rambam here? Having children is after right?
Yes.
So shouldn't you have to, according to this, shouldn't you have to do that and not learn?
100%. But for some reason, you're osuk b'mitzvah, potem in a mitzvah. It's efshel asli de'acherim.
You're going to be able to do it later. No, it's like the Megillah that you're going to have time to read the Megillah also after the Gvura. So I'll have time to do both.
Let me not muddy the waters any more than they're muddied, because I may regret this. So let's pause here. We have now to do a beautiful, beautiful Rav Elchanan. Rav Elchanan is an eye-opener in the Sugyah, and eventually he's going to help us at least tie some of these pieces together, and we're going to get a nice shot. But at this point, we have 3 kashas that we need to answer to. We also have a 4th kasha, which is, what is the kasha on the Torah, that I forgot. but we definitely have 3 kashas. And we're going to see, it's Hashem Rav Elchanan, that's a beautiful, beautiful yesod that is imperative for us to know.
Is there a slide for the 4th question?
No, I didn't have a chance to write it. That's why I forgot it.
So that's why. That's of course we can't have the question because we don't have a slide. If there's no slide, we can't have.
Right. So here's the potential slide. It's something like.
Don't we already know from the Gemara by Cotton what the Torah is teaching us? I mean, is he saying we're learning that from the Gemara and Kedushin? But don't we already know that from the Gemara by Cotton? I mean, didn't he establish over there that if it's after Ali Day Cherem that you don't push it off because of that drasha from Nach?
Yeah, it's a valid point. I thought of that, but to be honest with you, I think the answer to that is that it's much stronger if Rabbi Tarfon, Rabbi Kiva, and the Chachamim, come to a conclusion, because sometimes the Gemara is not lamaskana. The Gemara Moed Katan may not be lamaskana, but here I have Nimnu, like they voted and they decided this is halacha, so that's stronger than the Moed Katan. That's what I assume. Why not such a kasha. All right, but we have work to do. So Mitzvah Hashem, I'll send out the Rav Elchanan. That's the next step, and we're going to get some clarity. And Mitzvah Hashem will start putting some pieces together. In Mitzvah Hashem. All right, gentlemen.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Okay. All right, Laila Tov. Good night.
Rebbe, it's a good thing Rebbe had Shiur 9 o'clock, because otherwise the couple could have stayed for another 2 hours.
Yeah, right. That's right. It's severe.
Thanks
All
for
right,
joining us
so-
for today's podcast. We'll be posting more here, so be sure to come back for new content. For daily inspiration, join our WhatsApp group by messaging +19 1489 36848 or visit theshmuz.com for more resources. If you have any questions, feel free to email us at info@theshmuz.com. Looking forward to having you with us again soon.